Good evening, good morning, everyone. What day is it? Welcome to our slow flow. I thought I would get in place there before you arrived, but I was a little behind. It's a beautiful day. It is sunny and things are blossoming and growing, and it's clearly making my head go in all different ways, and I don't even know what time of day it is. So welcome back to my home studio. This is Annie from MP Mindful Palette, movement practitioner, Milwaukee Proud. I'm so glad to have you back practicing with me this morning. And I'm also grateful for the continued support and organization of the Milwaukee Rec Department to help bring these classes to you. So in our slow flow today, we'll stay in some poses for a couple of breaths, a few breaths. We'll sink into them a little bit. I do have some core work for you, as I usually promise. And so we will begin. If you have a couple of blocks or something like blocks, we will begin on those today if you wish. You might use those for another point in your practice as well. And then, as usual, if you have a strap, a tie, a scarf, a TheraBand, something that you want to use that resembles one of those, go ahead and take a moment to find those items. So we will bring ourselves to those blocks to begin. So I have two blocks here, one that's going to go under my head, under the base of my skull, and then one under my shoulders, so the upper back. If you like to have that block down the spine, you could turn it to be so the length of it is down the spine. So you decide then if you want them to be at the same level at the lowest or some variation of that. Perhaps by this time you've found what your comfortable level is with those blocks. So then when you're ready, lower yourself down gently. You can always adjust once you arrive. And again, maybe you want that head to be higher than the back. Maybe you want them to be at the same level, opening up that throat a little bit more. You might even want the shoulders to be higher than the head, so you have the head lower. And allow yourself to sort of melt more fully into this mat, bring yourself more fully into this space. Notice that opening of the chest and the heart. Allow those arms to drop by the sides. Those feet can fall out to the sides. You could also have those knees up if that would feel better on your lower back. So decide where you are here. And start to notice your breath. You can close those eyes, really draw that attention to the inhalation. Pause at the top of that inhalation. And then that exhalation and the pause you may find at the bottom before we take our next full breath. I invite you to set an intention for this practice today. One more breath in. Let it all the way out. And we'll begin with our first pranayama, or mindful breathing exercise. You can stay here on the blocks, or if you'd rather lower yourself flat onto your mat now, you can take a moment to remove those blocks. And then when you're ready, bringing hands to the belly. Let your breath out. And in your next inhalation, We'll take in that breath for 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold here, hold the breath. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let that out. Blow through a straw for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold the breath. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale through that straw, all 8 counts. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Take 2 more rounds of our 4, 7, 8 breath at your own pace. When you're finished, you can remove those blocks if you haven't already and pull those knees into the chest. So gently lowering down onto your mat and pull those knees in. And let's just rock back and forth gently. Then allow those knees to fall over to the left. You can take those arms to a T, beginning to warm up the spine here. So just take this easy. If you need a block between those knees to give yourself support, take a block or even under the knees. Maybe taking that gaze away from the knees. Breathe in back through center, and then we'll exhale, drop it over to the other side. Take a couple of breaths here. And then inhale those knees back through center, and we'll stretch all the way out, lengthening that spine, maybe wiggling fingers and toes or rotating ankles or wrists. Another big breath in. Exhale, curl into a ball. Round up, bring the knees towards the chin. Extending again. And curl. And all the way out here. And then we'll take those arms over to the left. So maybe taking that left hand, gently pulling the right wrist across the head, hooking that right ankle over the left foot. Let those shoulder blades and hips lay on the mat. So here's our side bend. We extended, we twisted, we folded forward. That back bend was our initial supported fish on those blocks. Inhale to the center. We'll take our 7th movement of the spine here as we bend in the other direction. Again, you can take that right hand and gently bring that wrist overhead, hooking that left ankle over the right, feeling that side body stretch. And back to center. One more full body stretch here. Bring those knees in. You could rock back and forth, or you could bring those knees around. And then gently move to one side, and we'll bring ourselves up and around to the knees. So take your time there. No special transition. Take your time if you need to spin around on your mat and reorient. Take a moment there. So my hips are over my knees, my wrists, elbows, and shoulders are stacked, and I'm just gently relaxing my back. So find myself in this tabletop position, and I'll inhale into my cow pose, dipping that belly down, lifting the chin and the tailbone. Exhale, bring that spine up to the sky, push that floor away. Notice how the eyes and the elbows might turn forward as you push that floor away. And move back and forth at your own pace here for cat-cow. You might even take a peek towards one hip or the other, or take some hip circles. So whatever would allow you to keep warming up that spine, take that movement now. And then we'll meet back in the center for our next pranayama, our Dirga breath. This is our 3-part complete breath. So in your next inhalation, dip down into cow. Notice the belly leads, and then those ribs come out, and then that chest rises. As you exhale, pull that belly in, pull the ribs up, and tuck the chest. Inhale, belly, ribs, chest. Exhale fully, belly, ribs, chest. Take 2 more rounds of that 3-part breath, focusing on those 3 areas. It can be easier to see these when we do Dirga breath in this orientation, to see the movement in that order. And then back to neutral. So keeping those hips over the knees, we'll then begin to walk those hands out in front of us, moving into our melting heart pose or puppy pose. So shift those hips so they're right over the knees. So unlike child's pose where we bring those hips back to the heels, this time we're keeping them above the knees and bringing those arms out. So melting that heart down, really aim that heart towards the mat. Notice that shoulder opener. If that becomes too much for the shoulders, you can drop those forearms onto the mat. You could also give yourself support on a block if you'd like to have your head on a block. Keep pressing that heart down. Notice the opening of the shoulders. One more breath here. And then we start to walk back up to the center. And let's just head back into child's pose, stretching those arms out. So noticing the difference when we bring those heels back, the hips back to the heels, we can still get that shoulder stretch here, but it's a little bit different across the chest. And then coming back into that tabletop, realigning those joints. And when you're ready, we'll stretch that right leg behind us. Press through that heel. Notice the stretch through the bottom of the foot or the calf. And then you can raise that leg, wrapping that hip down towards the earth, extending that left arm out if you wish to balance. You could just take one or the other. Pull that navel into the spine. Stretch long here, reach through fingers and heel, breathe in. And then exhale, we'll take 3 crunches. Inhale as you expand or extend. Exhale, crunch. All the way up. And then bring that down. We'll take it to the other side. So readjust as needed. Now we'll stretch that left foot back, pressing through the heel. Extending that right hand. Bringing that leg up, wrapping the left hip down. Balancing here. Breathe in, get really long. And then exhale, we'll crunch 3 times. Bring elbow to the knee. All the way out again. And then hands down and just step it out. From here, we'll step those hands out a little bit ahead of the shoulders, tuck those toes, and send those hips to the sky for downward facing dog. Let's walk it out. Breathing here, maybe going up on the toes. Take a breath in. Exhale, release. Out the heart to the thighs. And I invite you to narrow that stance with downward facing dog. You might even bring your feet as wide as the mat. So I'm walking my feet closer to my hands, bringing them a little bit wider. Anchor through that left hand and bring that right arm across to reach for the outside of that left calf. So you can look underneath your left armpit here. So notice that core engagement. I'm really pulling my belly in to keep myself strong. One more breath here. And then we place that hand back down. And we'll take it to the other side. So you can keep this hand on its own side. You can place it in the middle if you want a little bit more stability. That's up to you. Reaching through, looking under that right armpit this time. Or under the right arm. Equal weight through that strong right arm. Pull that navel in. And then slowly release. And we'll step those legs back out.
pressing down at the heels. In your next breath in, lift that leg high, that right leg, and then send it through to our low lunge. Walk it through, help it through, maybe landing on those blocks. So with our low lunge, that front knee is over the ankle, and that back knee is behind the hip. So we get a nice stretch here through that quadricep muscle and those hip flexors on the left leg. So bring that right hip back, shift left hip forward, scissoring those thighs, and then we bring those arms up. Take one breath here, and then bring them down. We'll bring those arms out to the side, and then scoop that right arm underneath the left. We cross at the elbows. You can take opposite shoulders, or you could twist those arms into eagle arms. Take a breath in here, raise those arms if you wish. Maybe send those elbows away. Your next breath in, you have the option of taking that back into a slight back bend. Keep pressing those hips forward. Notice that strength through the lower back. One more breath in, and exhale. Let's lower down. And then we'll bring those hands to frame that front foot. Tuck the toes on that left foot, and then walk gently up to the top of the mat. So allow yourself to just hang here for a moment. And then we'll start to roll up bone by bone, slower than you want to go. Once you get towards the top and you feel those shoulders coming back, let those arms follow, scoop them all the way up, reach to the sky, breathe in. Exhale, bring hands down and fold forward. We'll plant those hands, step back through your version of plank. So you may have your knees on the forearms. Option here to take some Spider-Man crunches. So bringing that knee to the outside of the elbow. If there are any other movements here in plank that you would like instead of this, knee taps, shoulder taps, static plank, take that now. Make this plank your own. One more on each side. And then lowering down either knees, chest, chin, or we shift forward and lower through Chaturanga Dandasana. Squeeze elbows into the sides. Inhale, lift with that lower back, cobra. Exhale, lower down, tuck toes. Send those hips to the sky for downward facing dog. Pedal it out here, take some breaths. You could go up onto the toes as you inhale. Exhale, press heels down. Inhale, raise that left leg. Exhale, sweep it through to low lunge on this side. Again, give yourself support on those blocks. If you wish, that's just an option. So we shift that left hip back, right hip forward. Breathe in as you bring those arms up. Exhale, lower down. Inhale, bring them out. Exhale, this time we scoop left under right. Cross at the elbows. You can take shoulders or twist them into eagle arms. Inhale, lift the arms if you wish. Exhale, send those elbows away. And then inhale into a deeper back bend if you want to strengthen that lower back. So this might be too much. Take it where you want today. One more breath in. Slowly release. We'll frame that front foot, tuck back toes, and then step up to the top of the mat once again. Let's just sway back and forth here, maybe taking opposite elbows. And then we'll again roll up to the very top. Take your time restacking those bones in the back. Let those arms come up, reach for the sky, breathe in. Exhale, let's fold straight down. This time take a half lift. Exhale, fold, step back with the other leg than you did last time into that plank. So again, opportunity here to take some different movement in plank. So maybe you want to take those knee taps. Maybe you're on forearms and you want to take some hip dips. Maybe you want to hold static plank and really feel strong in that static plank. So wherever you are, you add what you want. Make this your own today. One more breath here. And then we lower down either knees, chest, chin, or shift forward and lower through Chaturanga Dandasana. Hands under the shoulders, tuck those elbows into the sides. Inhale, baby cobra. Exhale, lower. Tuck toes. Inhale, send those hips to the sky. Again, walk it out in downward facing dog. Press through the heels. Those heels do not have to touch the mat. Pressing them in that direction. Next inhalation brings that right leg back up. We exhale, crunch it forward to the chest. Inhale, back to the sky. Exhale to the same side elbow. Inhale, back up. Exhale, opposite elbow. Back to the sky. And then we sweep it through to that low lunge once again. So take a moment here to find that stability. Knee is over the ankle. Really sink into that front hip. And then you might find that you can even bring that foot out. So if you were here, then you really sink in. Maybe you can walk that foot forward. So scissor that right thigh back, left hip forward. Inhale those arms up once again. Exhale, hands heart center. Inhale, lift left elbow towards the right leg and settle in here with an exhale. So twisting, you can stay right here. You might come up off of that back knee. You might press those palms together. You can take any of these bits and pieces that you want. So pressing those palms together to meet at heart center deepens that twist, wrings out that midsection. Look towards that top elbow. This knee off the mat in the back is an option. They're all options. One more breath here. Slowly release. Come back to center. Let's frame that front foot. And then we'll take that leg back up to the sky on an inhalation. Get there however you can. Bring it back down to the mat. And let's step this out. Pressing that heart back towards the thighs. Inhale the left leg up. Exhale, send it forward. Crunch it to the chest. Inhale back up. Exhale, same side elbow. Inhale back to the sky. Opposite elbow. Back up. And then we'll sweep it through to that low lunge again on this side. Find your stability. Inhale those arms up. Exhale, hands down to heart center. Inhale, lift right elbow. Exhale it to the left leg. Help it across if you want. And then you could press those palms together so they meet at heart center, deepening this twist. Option to bring that back knee off here. Press through that heel if you have that back knee raised. One more breath in. Slowly release. Come back to center. We'll frame that front foot once again. Lift that left leg to the sky. Breathe in. Exhale, bring it down and step this out. Bend those knees. Let's look towards the hands. Step or hop up to the top of your mat. When you arrive, let yourself hang there in that forward fold. Again, maybe taking opposite elbows. Shaking that head, yes and no. Let yourself hang. And then we'll bring those knees to bend slightly. So we can bring those hands underneath the feet. Maybe those toes touch the wrist creases. And then if and when you're ready, we can start to straighten and bend those legs. Maybe you have your peace fingers wrapped around the big toe and you're moving from here.
Use your breath as you bend and straighten. This is a full body stretch. We're letting that neck and that head hang, so we're decompressing the neck. We're stretching those arms, shoulders, glutes, hips, hamstrings, calves, lower back. Breathe into this movement. And then slowly release. And again, we'll start to roll all the way up. Let those shoulders come back, let the arms follow, reach up to the sky, breathe in, exhale, hands to heart. We'll pause here for a moment in our mountain pose. So feet are hip width apart. You can bring those hands to face forward here. Broaden the collarbone, tuck the hips, navel pulls into spine. That chin is parallel to the earth. And I invite you to revisit that intention that you set. What do you need right now? Has that changed from when you said it in the beginning? Take a breath in through the nose, out through the nose. Let that air pass over the back of the throat, slightly constricted throat. Focusing on our Ujjayi breath, in through the nose. Slightly constrict that throat, let that air pass over the back like you're steaming up a little mirror at the back of your throat. Couple more. And you can release those arms. We'll take those feet wider than our hips, toes pointing out, and when you're ready, we bend into those legs coming in. Goddess squat here. So let those knees track over the toes. So adjust your turnout of the toes accordingly. So you can bring hands to heart center, out to the side, goddess arms, whatever you wish. Sink that tailbone straight down. Keep the collarbone, broaden the collarbone, broaden the chest, open up that heart like we were in the beginning with that supported fish pose on those blocks. Let's raise those toes. Notice that weight in the heels and lower. And then bring one heel off the earth and back down. And the other one and back down. And then maybe you want to balance. Maybe you want to bring both heels off. Find a steady gazing point out in the distance. Keep your eyes there. Keep aiming that tailbone down. Keep wrapping those knees open. Breath is moving. Strong legs here. Balancing, strengthening, breathing. One more breath. And then take those arms up. Breathe in. And exhale, we can shake them all the way down. Wiggle it out here if you want to. A lot of work there with those legs, so good work. Let's bring these hands behind us now to clasp behind the back. Try to keep the heels of those hands together. So this time we turn those feet so they're parallel to each other. On the long side, towards the long side of your mat perhaps. Roll those shoulders back, take a breath in. Exhale, let's fold forward with that flat back. Let those hands come up overhead as if you're gonna touch them to the floor in front of you. So roll those shoulders back, open up. Keep that breath moving, let that head hang. Let all those negative thoughts just pour out of the top of your head. Leave them there. Let them fall away. One more breath. And then slowly begin to roll back up gently with that flat back. Not as much of a roll as a lift, I guess. And release those arms. Again, you can stretch them out here. So we'll turn those heels back in so we have that turnout again. You can take another sumo squat, goddess squat that we just took. Or if you'd like, you could join me to bring hands together and start to come down into more of a malasana or garland pose. It's a deeper squat here. So those heels do not have to touch the mat. And if you want, you can place a block under the back side. So we start here, again, broadening the collarbones. Maybe you're using those elbows to push the knees open. I'll turn sideways so you can see how I'm going to lengthen my spine. So I'm here right now, and then as I push those knees open and broaden the collarbones, I grow tall. Lengthening that spine. Keep the breath moving. These deep squats are really good for our digestion. You can get things kind of moving and massaging some of those digestive organs here. See if you can release. See if you can release anything in the glutes and the hips, and maybe broaden those knees a little bit more. I'll turn back to the front here. If you're in that goddess squat, keep going, strengthening those legs. You might take one hand to the palm here. You might take fist to fist. Keep opening up those knees. One more breath here. And then let's release. Slowly come down, one leg at a time. Be kind, shake it out. And we'll move into some more abdominal work here and balance. So bringing those heels out ahead of us. We can bring those arms away from our legs. Lean that torso back. Find yourself in boat. You can have hands on the thighs. You can keep those heels down. Maybe you want to raise those legs up, maybe just an inch. Maybe you want to raise them so the shins are parallel to your mat. Maybe you want to take this way up. You decide. Our first boat of the day. Keep your breath moving. Pull that navel into the spine. Strong legs, maybe they're shaking. One more breath. Exhale, breathe here. One more boat, bring those heels back out, lean the torso back, take a breath in, and then we move into our boat. Maybe you take it a little bit higher, maybe you dial it back, maybe that first one was enough. One more breath in, and release, sit tall. Keeping that left hand wrapped around the legs, we'll then rotate that right arm back. Make that kickstand or that second spine behind you. Take a breath in as you grow tall. And then exhale, twist from the base of the spine. And release. Wrap that other arm around the legs. Inhale this other arm behind. Sit tall here. And then exhale, twist. And back to center. We have one more option with our boat here, our rowboat. So bringing those heels back out, leaning the torso back, and we'll take it from side to side. So inhale in the center, and then exhale as you go to each side. Again, you can raise those heels off the mat. Take this at your own pace. Just keep that breath moving with the posture, with the movement in the posture. One more to each side. From here, we'll lower down. I'm going to turn to the side again. Thank you for bearing with me as I give you all the angles. Lowering down, maybe through that low boat, challenging the core. Resting all the way down. And let's bring those knees into the chest. Rock back and forth. And then we'll leave that right knee in. Hold that right knee in. Let that left leg go long. Notice the length here through the hip flexors. Bring this other knee into the chest. Maybe rotate that ankle both directions. And you could bring that knee out to the side, letting that right knee come out to the side, opening that hip, keeping this left hip on the earth. And back in, and then we take that left hand, guide the right knee across, inhale, and then exhale, twist over to the opposite side. So we have one long leg and one bent knee. Notice that stretch through the right hip. You can take that gaze over the right fingertips. Also an option to straighten that right leg if you want even more of a stretch through that hip, through that IT band that goes down the side of the right leg. Inhale back to center. Give that knee one more hug. And then let that leg go long, and we'll bring the other leg in to the body here. Again, you can roll that ankle in both directions. Maybe bring that knee out to the side, out to the left. Notice how that also allows the chest to open here. Aim the shoulder blades on the mat. Inhale that knee back through center, guide it with the right hand as you exhale over to the other side, twisting here, looking over those left fingertips. And then your in-breath brings you back to center. Give it one more squeeze and slowly release. Let's take a full body stretch once again. Breathe in, exhale, draw those knees in to that ball shape. And then keep those knees in, rest the head, and let's widen those knees and then send the soles of those feet up to the sky, moving into your version of happy baby. So you could stay here holding on to the legs if you wish. You could also reach for calves, ankles, insides of the feet, or take those peace fingers to the big toes. Pull those knees into the armpits, gently draw them in, and think about lengthening out that spine once again. So if that tailbone comes off the mat, think about uncurling it, laying it on your mat, keeping those shoulders wide and flat on the mat if possible. Make any adjustments that you need. Everybody's arms and proportions, they're different lengths and proportions here. So I like to use my peace fingers on the big toe because I feel like that gives me the most length. Maybe you're better just holding onto thighs or even using a strap to pull those knees into the chest. And then we can lengthen our legs here. So taking one leg out at a time. Let's use our breath. Inhale, exhale. Take a few rounds here as we move from side to side, gently stretching those hamstrings. And then you can release that bind, maybe give those knees one more hug and move them around here. Moving into those hips. We'll bring the feet down to the mat and then let those knees open wide, soles of the feet together. And just notice where you are here for a moment. I'm in a place where I have blocks all over. Let those elbows go wide, mimicking the shape of the knees. Press that lower back into the earth. Deep breath. And then bring those hands down to the belly here, moving into our waterfall breath. So hands resting. Take your next inhalation, fill those lungs, bring yourself to the top of a beautiful waterfall. As you exhale, let that water cascade over the falls as you let that breath out in 3 smooth parts. Inhale, fill the lungs. Reach that waterfall. Exhale, water over the falls in 3 smooth parts. Inhaling deeply. Exhale completely. One more round of waterfall breath. We can bring those arms to a T. Take a breath here with those knees wide. Exhale, bring that left knee over to the right. Knees all the way together like a book, closing a book tightly. Inhale, open. Exhale, bring the other knee over. Back and forth with your breath. You can fold those knees in. If you have a block and you'd like to place it under the hips to end with before Shavasana, to end with a supported bridge or legs up the wall, or maybe you want to stretch those hip flexors by letting those legs go long. If any of those postures would interest you, take it now. I like to use that block, lifting up those hips, so that in this way that energy can get back to the top of my body a little more freely, allowing that blood to also return to the upper body without as much work from the heart. So you can rest those hands on the belly or at your sides. Let those legs feel heavy here. If you have a wall nearby, use the wall. That's my favorite. You could still place that block under the hips, under the sacrum. It's that area between the lower back and the tailbone. Just come back to your breath. And then gently bring those legs down, taking any other postures, movements, stretches before we move into that final resting position in Shavasana. So allow your body to stretch out if that feels good, breathing normally.